extra energy. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Tina Dietz. I'm your MC for this evening, and very, very happy to be presenting some amazing speakers here for you.
You know, you got an upset tummy, you take Pepto-Bismol. You've got sore joints, you take whatever, Aleve or something like that. You never actually try and figure out what's causing the problem. And when we don't take the time to figure out what's causing the problem, then your body says you're not listening. So now, because you won't listen to me every day at 3 o'clock telling you my head hurt, you know, something's out of whack here, I'm going to make it more serious. So now, every day, not only are you going to get a headache at 3 o'clock, but I'm going to give you a really nasty skin rash all over your face. Right? So what I would like to encourage you is to remember that your body talks to you. And when you're feeling those aches and pains or any kind of symptom, it's not because you're getting old. It's because you're making choices that maybe don't support vibrant health.
Well, one day I was packing our van up and getting ready to go on a trip, and one of her books was in the van. And I randomly picked it up, opened it up, and everything that I read in that book was talking right to me. Like it was, hit me right in the heart. And so I put the book down, finished the pack in the van, and decided I was going to go read some more. And I went and got the book, and I couldn't even read it because it was too dark. And that's when I realized that that light that had been shining on the book before could not have been sunlight, because the van was in the garage, and my garage has no windows. So I still get chills thinking about it, but my life shifted right then. I read that book. I read every book my wife had. I read all of her girlfriends' books. I was absorbing books. And then I started tagging along with them when they went to workshops. They went to different metaphysical workshops, and I would tag along, and I would be the invisible guy in a room. A lot of times I was the only guy in a room.
Righteousness gets us into trouble. Judgment gets us into trouble. And the other thing that gets us into trouble is not saying anything. So, anybody do this? Yeah, I'm just going to let it slide. Something happens and I just let it slide. And then something happens and I just let it slide. And it's because I don't want to lose the person, I don't want to rock the boat, and there's so many great things about the person. I don't say anything, and then 2 years later, I blow up, and I spew venom at them, and I've got 2 years worth of total insanity and craziness about all the stuff that I didn't say. So silence is a killer, and silence causes arguments. We're often also in a power struggle. Anybody ever feel that feeling like I'm in a power struggle? I want the power, and then you've got the power, and then who's got the power? Who's got the power in your relationship?
Getting worse. She always had stomach ulcers. I developed diabetes, you know, and still things don't change. And I'm on all this medication, and she's on all this medication, and she's on OxyContin too for her back and for her stomach, and her mind is just deteriorating because of the drugs, you know, and finally she died. You know, I truly loved this woman, and she died just suddenly. You know, she went in for surgery. She was 47 years old, and she went in for surgery for her stomach, and they couldn't give her enough medication to keep her sedated because she was so used to strong pain medication. And so in her sort of hysterical incoherence in the middle of the night, she ripped her drain tubes out of her stomach. And for a week, she was in a coma.
And I remember one day we were sitting there, and there was a lull in our conversation, and he was looking at me, and he looked at me and he said, "You know, Kev," he said, "I really have to thank you for taking the time to come visit with me these past few months." He said, "I know there's other things you'd rather be doing than spending time with a dying man, but I just want you to know I appreciate you taking the time to come over here. You've become like a son to me." Very emotional moment, and I shook his hand and said, "No problem, Doc, my pleasure. I'll see you in a couple of days." But that was not meant to be. He ended up passing like 2 days later. Part of me was relieved that his suffering was over. But the other part of me mourned the fact that my newest friend, my great mentor, had moved along. But I'll tell you, to this day, when I drive by the St. Francis home, I see his face, I see his eyes, I hear his laughter, I hear his voice, and I'm filled with this lingering sense of gladness to know that I think I made his final days a little bit better
in that moment, I started to finally regain consciousness. The first thing to come back really is your ears. That's what comes back first. So I had no other perception. I was just a pair of ears. I didn't know particularly that I was, I couldn't see, I couldn't really do anything else. But I heard a voice say, "Sheryl, your heart stopped and we're taking you to the hospital." So I'm thinking, what a silly thing to say to someone. If I wasn't already horizontal, I would have been gone for sure. I was shocked, absolutely shocked. Now, in my background, I am a healthcare practitioner. So I thought, it's not the time to get flipped out. I need to concentrate on my breathing. And off I went. And it really was, my body was very heavy in that moment. So it was pretty easy to slip back into that sweet space. It was just kind of a floaty, out-of-body experience that I was having at that moment.
As you're out there in the world, share your heart, love yourself, as Sheryl says, give more to get more, and remember, make every day a Mo Monday. Thank you so much.